Hey everyone, welcome to a very special edition of Tunnel Vision One-on-One. Hope everyone's staying safe out there. During this quarantine, we tried some new features here at uscfootball.com during the quarantine because we can't do what we're normally doing. And this is even a newer feature. We're trying to do a one-on-one with a potential football prospect, certainly a prospect, Miller Moss from Bishop Alemany. He's a four-star quarterback, one of the highest uncommitted players to date. And we normally have, USC people on, former coaches, players, whatever. This is now potential future Trojans, potential future college stars, and Miller Moss is joining us this evening. Thanks, Miller, for coming on.
Yes, sir. No, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no, my pleasure. Thanks for doing this. We wanted to, kind of mix it up a little bit, do something unique. I know this has been a unique situation for you. How have you been holding up so far during this quarantine?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, it's definitely unprecedented times, not only just in recruitment and college football, but in the entire world. I'm trying to just kind of maintain perspective and realize how lucky I am to be able to continue to train and continue to kind of go through my sport activities. But yeah, I mean, sorry, I think it cut out for a second.
That's okay.
Like
yeah,
said,
you're good. Technology is fun.
Maintain perspective, and it's been crazy times. I hope everyone out there is doing well.
Yeah, hopefully everyone's staying safe. So if you don't know, so Miller Moss, like I said, one of the top 50 players in the country, one of the top uncommitted prospects, and he's a quarterback. He's cut his list of colleges down to 4. Alabama, LSU, UCLA, and USC are his top 4 schools. If you are watching live we're only doing this one on YouTube just to kind of keep it simple. If you do want to put some comments in on the YouTube chat room, if you're watching it live, I will try to pull them up during the interview and play them, try to keep them sane. I'll see if there's a bunch coming. I'll do my best to kind of do this because I'm hosting and producing and stuff all at once. But we want to get some insight on all 4 schools that Miller Moss is considering. So maybe we'll start with LSU. We'll go. Let's start with Alabama. We'll go alphabetical order. How's that? With Alabama. So I know you visited Alabama. What are some of your thoughts on Alabama and why they made your top 4?
Right. I mean, I was super lucky that I was able to get out there last year just because now I have that perspective on the school that I don't have with LSU. So, I mean, I think there is a certain comfort level with Alabama, just in that sitting down with Coach Saban as well as Coach Sarkisian, I feel like I've been able to build really, really good relationships with both. Coach Saban, I really, really trust, not only as a football coach, but as a mentor. I think sitting down with him, you see why he's been so successful in his program. I think him and his players conduct themselves with the utmost respect and just best practices as a whole, not only on the field, but off the field. Coach Sark is a Southern California guy, so we've been able to connect in that respect. His kids go to Mater Dei, which is about less than 45 minutes away from my house. Yeah. We've been able to really build a relationship in that sense. So I think there is a really a certain amount of comfort with me at Alabama, and that's a big reason in why they made my top 4.
I sent Tim Watts. He's the publisher over there at the 24/7 site for Alabama, Bama Online, and he wanted to know: did you get to Zoom with the new Bama strength coaches yet? And if you have, what did you think?
I did not. So I've been talking with Coach Sark about every week. I've been talking with Coach Saban with less frequency. He's a very busy guy, but I've definitely gone on the phone with Coach Saban a couple of times. Coach Sark and I have been able to Zoom where he can share his screen and we're able to talk ball, which is really, really, really unique experience and something that I think he wouldn't have gotten without these kind of unprecedented times. So there definitely are some good things that you can draw, and that's been a really unique experience for me.
Yeah, I know you talked to Greg Biggins about your top 4, and you were really impressed with the way they ran their player-run practices over there at Alabama.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think a huge thing with Alabama is you go there and you see there's not a single coach on the field, yet every guy is still so dedicated and focused on what's at hand. And I think that's a big reason why you see guys going from like Texas, Florida, Southern California, going to Tuscaloosa, Alabama, where you can't even get a direct flight from LA, to honestly to become the best possible football player they can be. And everyone there is on a mission, and I think you really see that in the practices that they have, and definitely in the player run practices that I was able to see.
Yeah. As far as there's a Southern California connection with Steve Sarkisian, but also Bryce Young. Went there. What was your relationship like with Bryce Young? Has he talked to you about going to Alabama at all?
Definitely. So me and Bryce are really close. I don't know if a lot of people know that. We've worked out together for the last 3 to 4 years. So I think Bryce being there, was a lot of people see that as a negative for anyone in the 21 class as a quarterback. I see it as a positive. I see that it adds a level of comfort, like I said before. And also, I know how talented Bryce is. So going there, I know would only make me better as a quarterback through competition. So I see that as only an added bonus for Alabama.
Let's switch over to LSU as far as going there. Coach O, another Southern California connection at USC. What's your relationship been like with him and the coaches there?
Right. No, I mean, it's similar to Coach Sark, just in having that Southern California connection, being able to really build a relationship based on that. I mean, obviously he was interim head coach for SC, so he knows the area out here. We can talk kind of as I'm driving down the 405. He knows where I am. He knows what In-N-Out Burger I'm passing, that kind of stuff. But we've really grown closer over the past couple of months, I would say, and his relationship to him and his relationship to my family has really been a huge reason why they've been such a big player in my recruitment recently.
I don't know if you know this, if you watch a lot of college football, but they won the national championship. So I don't know, what were your thoughts on that? What were your thoughts on that? The pretty impressive season. I mean, Joe Burrow, obviously 60 touchdowns was crazy.
Right. No, I mean, I think it's really hard for any quarterback recruit to not notice that and want to be a part of that. I think I've talked to some people just in the football world, and people feel that LSU has always been a quarterback and an offensive coordinator away from a national championship, and I think you really saw that this year. I think that the players they have are special, probably as special as anyone in the country, along with Alabama and USC. So that's definitely another thing that really draws me, and that opportunity to have a season or a career like Joe Burrow was able to have.
Now, you haven't got to visit LSU, so that's one of the only. I believe that's the only school in the top four you haven't seen yet, which is part of the problem with this whole coronavirus quarantine thing.
Absolutely. No, I mean, that's one thing that I'm struggling with just in terms of comparing and contrasting my top four schools, is that you really garner a lot of information by visiting a school. And when you're there, you can really see if you can picture yourself in that setting. So it's definitely something that I'm struggling with. I'm trying to do as much research as I can on my end just to see, just to kind of weigh different things and different options within each school. But I mean, I'd really love to be able to get to Baton Rouge sooner rather than later.
We'll go to the local schools. UCLA. Has Chip Kelly been the primary recruiter for you over there at UCLA?
He has. I mean, I'm in contact with a lot of different people from the staff. Coach Bible, quarterback's coach, and then Chip Kelly have been my two primary recruiters, I would say, from UCLA.
Yeah. Have you feel like they talked to you about how you would fit into that offense? Because it's a different offense that we've seen the last couple of years than what he was running at Oregon and even in the NFL.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, I think that was 100% a point we hit on just in my time there, and then over the phone. Just you see this UCLA offense, and it looks nothing like what Marcus Mariota was doing at Oregon. And Coach Kelly's answer to me just about that is he adapted his NFL passing game and took that into the college game at UCLA. So I do think that is a unique opportunity to be able to play in an offense in college that has been adapted from the NFL. So I think that is a positive in terms of me looking at that school, just in that I know that I have every confidence that Coach Kelly will prepare me for the next level.
As far as the communication there with Chip Kelly, what's that relationship kind of been like with you guys?
Right. No, I mean, Coach Kelly's been great. He's been super upfront with me and my entire family. We talk weekly just about all kinds of stuff, whether it's the speakers for their Monday morning breakfast or whatever it may be. We've really got to talk ball, which I love doing with coaches. I think that provides a unique perspective just in terms of whether you can see yourself playing in that system. So, I mean, Coach Kelly's been great, as well as Coach Bible and the rest of the recruitment staff.
With either local school, I mean, obviously this is weird times with the coronavirus stuff. What do you feel like? We'll get to USC in a second, but do you feel like that it's easier to stay home for some prospects because of you're not sure about travel and things like that? Is that coming into people, in your mind or other prospects' minds? You talk to other recruits?
Right. No, I mean, I've actually thought about this before, but I think it really depends on the kid. I just saw the comment.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I was trying to get that working as we were talking. Sorry. Yeah.
No, I really do think it depends just from kid to kid. I think some kids will definitely be more naturally inclined to stay home just because they have certain priorities at home and they feel like being closer, especially in kind of uncertain times, will make it easier on their family and easier to support those that they feel need support in their house. So I really do think it varies. For me, I think I really need more time to think about whether that'll impact me wanting to leave home or not. As of now, it doesn't. As of now, I'm still trying to make my decision as I would have otherwise.
Okay. Let's switch over to USC. Is this true that your mom was actually a professor at USC while she was pregnant with you teaching architecture? Did I hear that right?
That is true. I'm not sure how that got out, but that is correct.
Hopefully, I'm sorry if that was like family secrets and stuff.
No. It's not something a lot of people know, but that is very true.
Interesting. So, was kind of your childhood favorite or something? Or is that, yeah?
It was. I mean, a lot of people used to ask me growing up, and why I rooted for USC, and that was always kind of the excuse I gave. But I mean, it was hard. I mean, growing up in the time I did, to be a fan of college football and not be a fan of USC growing up in LA. So,
yeah.
I mean, I'm definitely partial to them in that way, but I don't think it affects my decision in terms of what university I'll attend.
How how's different has the recruiting approach been lately? They hired a bunch of new staff members, but most of them on the defensive side of the ball.
Right.
So your recruiters have probably been the same with Graham Harrell and stuff. But has it felt different? Because it seems like they're different, at least on social media and stuff right now.
It has, absolutely. I mean, I think for lack of a better term, they really turned it up a notch after the kind of backlash, to put it in kind of simple terms, kind of backlash they got from the 2020 class. And I don't think that was lost on anyone, but they've really turned up their recruiting efforts. And I think you see that already in the 2021 class with the top 5 class nationally.
Yeah, it's been different. Now they already have a quarterback, so it's kind of different. When you're looking at an LSU or an Alabama, they have most likely one of the top draft picks that are leaving. Leaving with some holes in the depth chart. With USC, they had a freshman that played well last year, and they also have Jake Garcia, a local kid I know that is also committed.
Definitely.
So does that come into play?
It doesn't. I mean, I think if you want to be a great quarterback, you're going to have to compete with anyone and everyone at a certain point, whether that's in college or through the draft process, hopefully in the league. So I don't think you can look at that, especially playing the quarterback position. I think you have to embrace competition regardless of where it is. So that is, I mean, just being completely truthful, that's something that I look forward to. And I hope that everyone that I play with embraces that same mentality. The
competition, yeah. Were you also some USC recruiting football, transfer news? JT Daniels entered the NCAA transfer portal. Is that, I know you know JT, talked to him at all, or any thoughts on that?
Definitely. I mean, it was definitely sad to see. I know how invested JT was coming out of high school and being the next great USC quarterback. So I definitely feel for him, and I wish him nothing but the best. As far as how that affects me, it doesn't really have any bearing on my decision. I just hope him and his family have continued success wherever he goes.
Let me try to pull this up. There was a comment. Let me see if I can pull it up. Thoughts on redshirting. Wolf. This is from Wolf. I think it'll pull up now. Let's see. Hopefully it works. It might not work. Yes, there it is. Thoughts on redshirting.
I mean, I think it honestly depends on this situation you're going into. If that can be beneficial for a lot of guys, and I think if you have the opportunity to play right away, then you shouldn't redshirt. But I think just it depends on the situation you go into, and if you feel like that can benefit you and your development, just going into the rest of your college career, I think it would be good.
Yeah, it's very different now. Like, we never saw freshmen winning Heismans, and now you're seeing redshirt. That's happening more now. Guys are playing, transferring. I mean, it's just one of those things. I mean, have you followed recruiting for a while and kind of seen that, like how the quarterback positions changed and with the transfer portal and all that stuff?
Definitely, yeah, I have. Even in JT's class, I think it was 2018. You see kind of the Trevor Lawrence model where he was able to play immediately and have success, and kind of JT took a different path and more of a Joe Burrow type deal where hopefully he'll transfer and have success. So I think there are a lot of different avenues by which quarterbacks can be successful. Some are a little bit easier, some are a little bit more difficult, but I think it all depends on the kid and where you land.
So I want to talk about your routine right now, because obviously things are different. What's your routine like these days with school shut down and you don't have organized weightlifting and conditioning and all that?
Right. No, definitely. I mean, I'm definitely trying to stay regimented. I think if you just end up going to sleep at 4 a.m. and waking up at 2 p.m., you're going to get all out of whack. but I've tried to kind of maintain a normal training schedule. I've been really lucky just in that I've been able to continue training both in terms of quarterback and just strength and conditioning. So that's been great, and I'm really trying to use this time to distance myself from the rest of the quarterbacks around the country. Just in terms of school, I mean, we have mandatory Zoom check-ins throughout the week, so that's kept kind of all of the kids at Bishop Alemany kind of on track.
And then how have you tried to improve as a quarterback during this crazy quarantine?
Right. I mean, like I said, I've still been able to train, probably more so just because we're not in school all day. And yeah, I mean, I've worked on every part of my game. I'd say I'm not gonna label myself and say I'm working on one thing more specifically than the other, but I think I'm always trying to improve every single part of my game and just really studying that. I've been watching film a lot just because I'm at the house all day, so
Yeah.
it's been good. But yeah, I mean, I'm really just trying to become a better football player in all sense of the matter.
What do you miss the most about this time of year as a quarterback?
Man, that's a good question. I just miss playing football. Like, I really love to play ball. I love being with my guys. I love being in the locker room messing around. I just, not that we mess around a lot, just like having fun with my guys. And I miss competing. I love spring ball. I love going against the defense. I love getting after it with the defensive coaches and stuff like that. So I really I was thinking about the other day, like I haven't seen a live defense in front of me in months, which is crazy. Like I don't, it's just weird to think about. So I think competition and just being with my guys and being with my friends, and even just sitting in class, like you don't think about it when you're there. You're like, oh, I'm just sitting in class right now. But it is definitely something that I miss a lot.
It's one of those things you just take for granted, right? Like, oh, I
right.
can go to class. Yeah.
Definitely.
And now you can't. For the pandemic in general, everything that's come with it, how's your outlook on college changed? And, as far as what do you think it changes what matters to you and your family for all of this?
Right. I mean, I think going into the recruitment process, I had a pretty good idea of what I wanted out of a school. I think if anything, this has shown me that you really need to take advantage of your opportunities. I mean, you truly never know what is going to happen. I mean, if someone would have told me you won't be allowed to leave your house for months on end 2 weeks or 2 or 3 months ago, I would have called them crazy. So I think the biggest thing that's taught me is really take advantage of every opportunity you get. And hopefully I'll be able to do that in whatever school I end up choosing.
So it's changing the recruiting process. Do you think now more players are going to sign early? Because it's the majority of players have been signing early in December.
Right.
And I don't know if that's going to change, but do you feel like players might wait a little longer and more people sign in February, or it splits off, or do you think it'll be the same? How do you feel this is going to go, this signing period?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's an interesting thought. I do think that more people will sign early just because there's so much uncertainty. I wasn't sure which way it would swing, but I think you've seen kind of a lot of guys try to lock up their spots just in this time we've been quarantined, with different guys committing, and if there was any uncertainty, kind of pushing that uncertainty aside with the hope of locking their spot up at a certain school. So, I mean, I do think we'll see a lot of guys sign earlier just because they don't know what the future's, what's going to happen. So I think they're really looking to lock their spot in and have their school, and just be excited to go on to college.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we were talking before the call a little bit where, you're in a great situation that you have offers, you can go somewhere, but you might have teammates, there are people on your premium team or, prospects across the country that needed like the summer, they needed the 7-on-7 circuit, they needed their senior year to get those offers. And those are all going to be in question now.
Absolutely. No, I mean, for those of you that aren't like well acquainted with the recruitment process, spring evaluation is just as important as your actual season. So, I mean, just in talking with Coach Helton and Coach Harrells today they were supposed to be at Bishop Alemany spring practice.
Oh yeah.
So, I mean, that's just as huge a portion of your career, so to speak, or your recruitment as the season is. So not being able to have this spring period, I really feel for those guys that are really trying to get their recruitment kind of off the ground now.
When you pick a school, eventually, as far as a lot of times quarterbacks are recruiters, they become part of that class and like
Definitely.
they become recruiters. Is that something you picture yourself doing, being on the text exchanges with everybody and all those chains and everything?
Absolutely. I mean, I've built a lot of really good relationships with a lot of kids all over the country just throughout the last 3 to 4 years. And there's definitely some guys that I want to bring wherever I go. But I think it's been a really unique experience being able to cultivate relationships with all those different guys, and I'd love to play with some of them going forward.
It's funny. A question just came up that's very similar to what I just asked. Let me see if this pulls up. I think it's coming. Ta-da! Okay, this is from Swaggy P. Do you have certain recruits/friends that'll commit to a school that you choose?
I mean, I'm not going to throw any names out there or anything, or guarantee any commitments, but there are definitely some guys on my team that I'm on my high school team that I'm really close with, as well as my premium team that are SoCal guys, and even guys across the country, Texas, Washington, that kind of stuff, that I've kept in contact with throughout the process, and I'm really looking forward to hopefully playing with in college.
And then one more. Let's see if it's popping up. This is from Matthew. Which are the top 3 things for you when it comes to picking a school?
Right. I mean, it's kind of interesting because when it came to picking a school, it really came down to 3 things for me. I think the first thing would obviously be a football program that you feel you can have success in and will develop you for the next level. I think you're going to college for football. You're going to school on a football scholarship, so that has to be the first thing that you take into account. The second thing for me was a highly academic school. Just kind of the way I was raised and my family's culture, that's always been a huge thing. And I think the third thing for me was culture, just being around guys that are similar to you and have similar goals and want to have success in everything that they do. So those are the 3 things that it really came down to, or will come down to for me with these Final Four schools.
Makes sense. As far as because this is a weird time with the coronavirus quarantine, what's been your best method to obtain information on a school, like during the dead period? You do some research online, or you talk just by talking to the coaches or current players, or how are you kind of obtaining that information?
Right, definitely. I mean, I think it definitely varies on what you want to find in a school. I think talking to players has proved to be a really, really valuable experience, just because you kind of see past the smoke and mirrors of recruitment. And I think that's truly what it is. It's hard for me to say just because I haven't surpassed recruitment into actually being a college athlete. But I do think that's a unique perspective, just talking to players, because they've gone through the recruitment process and then seen what it's like to be an actual student athlete at that school. So I do think that's an invaluable piece of information.
So a bunch of your interviews and in here you talked about really other quarterbacks aren't going to impact your decision. You got to compete everywhere.
Right.
About USC specifically, what have they told you about their quarterback situation for this recruiting cycle?
Right. I mean, Coach Helton has had a similar message for me, and just that you have to embrace competition if you are going to come to USC. I think you saw that. You've seen that throughout his tenure at USC, and even before that, where you have Matt Barkley come in as a freshman, go into Ohio State and win the game. You saw that the previous season where JT came in as a true freshman and won the job, and then you saw that just this last year with Keaton coming in, not winning the job, being the number 2 guy ahead of 2 guys that had been there for a while, and then obviously coming in, taking over when JT got hurt, and breaking every freshman record there is. So I think Coach Helton's biggest message to me is that if you're going to choose at USC, you have to embrace competition regardless of what it is.
I've been showing some highlights from the Elite 11 regional, and so Miller, if you didn't know, Miller was selected to be in the Elite 11 finals, and that's still on hold. We don't know if that's going to happen yet. I think you said they're optimistic that they're going to have that still.
Definitely, yeah. So they reached out to us a couple of days ago and said that they were really hopeful and really thinking that they were going to have it later on in the summer. I know it was originally planned for early in June, so they were hoping for a later summer date, and I'm really hoping that that's going to happen.
Yeah. So it was. I mean, so congratulations on being selected. It was a very it's kind of rainy, crappy day when they were going out there. So you're seeing some of the footage of Miller throwing the football around. He was doing a good job. Put your analyst hat on. What did you think of how the quarterbacks and stuff played, how that event, that all went outside of yourself?
Yeah, I mean, it's always good to be able to go out there and see the top competition in the area. I think it's always been an area renowned for quarterback talents like California. Some of those guys I've grown really close with just in competing throughout the last 3 to 4 years, and even before that in elementary and middle school, if you really want to go back. But yeah, I mean, I always try to put my best foot forward, and was able to compete with a lot of really talented guys. I mean, from Tyler to Ty Thompson to Jake, bunch of really good guys, and I'm super grateful that I was able to be selected.
So those are the guys that kind of stood out to you more than anyone, or is there anyone that stood out to you that you saw out there like, wow, that guy can sling it?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, Tyler has been my boy for a long time. I have nothing but respect for his game. He obviously got invited as well. That was something we had talked about being able to do together for a while. So being able to get invited with him was really special. It kind of added on to a surreal moment for me.
What about a couple of there were some younger guys, class of 22, 23, like Malik Murphy, Malachi Nelson. Did you see them at all?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, those were the two guys I was going to mention when you brought up younger class.
Okay.
Malik, obviously, I think you just look at him and the ball comes out of his hand and he kind of speaks for himself. Malachi is kind of lesser known just because he's younger, but he's going to be just as good as anyone is right now, and I'm really looking forward to seeing those guys develop as they go through their high school careers.
So watching you, I was like, oh, this I think was number 153. He keeps getting in line with you when you were throwing the football. It was Jalen Smith,
right?
Who's a stud in his own right. But what was it like out there being able to throw to him, your high school teammate?
Definitely, yeah. I mean, he was out there all day catching for me, so huge props to him. That's one of my closest friends, and really hope we get to play together at the next level. So nothing but love for him. That's my boy. Really happy for him and the success he's had in his recruitment over the past couple months, and really looking forward to playing our senior year together.
Yeah, where do you think he'll play in college? Which side of the ball?
Oof. Oh, which side of the ball?
Yeah. No, not like where he's going to go. I don't want you to know.
Right. I really see. I mean, he can play everything. If you guys followed our season at all, he was able to play safety, linebacker, corner, slot, running back, and return kicks and punts for us. So he's so versatile. I know he's mainly being recruited for defense. I know a lot of schools see him as a Tyrann Mathieu type of guy, and I think he absolutely fits that mold and is that talented.
Yeah, interesting. I just put. I think I have some of his clips queued up at the end, but I'll pull that up there. You don't have to face. I mean, you don't always have to face him in practice because he plays both ways.
Right.
What's it like going up? There's a linebacker who's a USC 2020 commit at Bishop Alemany. What's it like playing against him? Junior, and then I don't want to butcher his name if you know how to do his last name.
Yeah, I think it's Tui Halamaka, but
yeah, there you go. I think that's right. I didn't want to screw it up on the live show, so good job.
Right. Thank you. No, I mean, going against those guys every day is great. I do go against Jalen oftentimes in practice, and we go at each other, which is always fun. I mean, we kind of get on each other during practice, which friendly competition never hurts. Junior has always been a physical specimen. I mean, ever since he came in his freshman season in that summer, we kind of knew he was special. Definitely great for SC picking up that commitment so early in his process, and I couldn't be happier for him. He really feels like he found a home there. But it definitely just makes our offense better being able to go against guys like that each and every day.
All right, I'm pulling up another question here. It's like slowly creeping up, like it's like the wheels are turning. It's from Mark. What would you list as your strength as a quarterback, and what are the areas you feel you still need to work on to improve?
Right. Yeah. I mean, I'm hesitant to label myself just in either positive or negative way. I think that it's not for me to say how good I am or anything like that. But I do think I'm accurate. I do think I'm a pretty cerebral quarterback, and I feel like those are traits that will carry me a long way. Just in terms of improving, I mean, I think the correct answer to that is I'm always trying to improve everything in my game. I'm always trying to become a more complete quarterback and improve on every attribute that I have.
All right, let me switch back over here. Thanks for that question, Mark. Do you, in your free time, are you a big college football fan? Do you get to watch a lot of college football?
I am. I mean, like, I love football, so whatever football's on, I'm watching. Aside from the like other leagues, I can't get into that, like the XFL or CFL or the new leagues and stuff.
Oh, okay.
That, but NFL, college football, and even if a high school game's on, I'll always watch it. So,
do you have any kind of favorite moments from the past few years? Any games that you like, just really inspired you, or kind of, helped define how you want to play football?
Definitely. I mean, I would say there's definitely two college games that came into my mind right when you asked that. I say the first one would be the Sam Darnold Rose Bowl against Penn State, where they really jumped out ahead early in that third quarter, and you kind of saw Darnold lead them back, and they ended up getting that interception and him them kicking the game winner to win the Rose Bowl. I think that was a really special moment. And I remember, like, me being in a hotel in Hawaii, jumping up and down as like a 12-year-old kid watching that. So that was awesome. And then I think the second one would be Deshaun Watson's second college football championship game, where he ended up beating Alabama. I think just watching that drive where he was able where he was really able to take over the second half of that game, made me not only a huge fan of his, but really inspired. I mean, there are certain games that you watch. I mean, I can think about Kobe's last game, but certain like athletic achievements that you can watch and you're like, this is really why I want to be so great in this. Like, this is why I want to inspire people. And I think that goes beyond just being a football player or quarterback, but I think it speaks to why people love sports so much.
I don't know. Have you thought about the possibility of not having a senior season? And if you have one, did you have any kind of statistical goals in mind for your senior season?
Yeah, I mean, I have unfortunately thought about the possibility of not having a season. That would be really unfortunate. I mean, if it gets to that point, there's definitely bigger problems in the world than not having a high school football season. So,
Fair.
But I mean, yeah, I mean, that would be heartbreaking for me. In terms of statistical goals, that's not really anything that I've harped on throughout my career. I mean, I think if I do my job and I play kind of the game that I should play, then hopefully we'll be able to win as many games as we can.
Yeah. So we don't know the future of all sports. You know, we're all trying to figure this out every day. It seems a little different, but would anything change for you in terms of like graduation or enrollment in college, where you're visiting first? I mean, sorry, if college football isn't on the docket in the fall, like would something change for you?
Right. No, I mean, I plan to enroll in January. That's kind of how I've structured my academics throughout high school. So barring any unprecedented stuff with eligibility or whatever may happen with the season getting pushed back, I plan to, if everything stays status quo, I plan to enroll in January.
Yeah. We're hoping so if things are status quo, visits planned, like would you like to get out and visit? I know you haven't been to LSU yet, like schools you want to take official visits to. Would you plan on doing that, or are you going to commit before any of that would happen?
Definitely, yeah. So I really, really would love to see LSU before I make a decision. I think, like I said, being able to be there and see yourself there is an invaluable experience, especially when weighing your options. And that's really what the recruitment process is about. It's about weighing different factors in different schools against one another. So I think that's would definitely be an experience that I would want before making a decision.
So we've been just a couple of weeks, I guess we've been doing shows like this. And like we said, you were the first prospect to come on. We've had like former players and things like that. But Matt Leinart was one of the first guy we actually had on. And that was fun to kind of just chat with him. But I forgot to pull a picture up, but I have a picture of you, I think when you were like 8 years old with Matt Leinart. So you've been taking, I guess you've been going to his camps and stuff. Man, I forgot. I'll have to find it. But yeah, what's your relationship been like with him?
So I think the first year of I think I ended up going the second year, but the first year of his camp was, or no, I think I third or fourth year. I'm not sure which year I went, but I remember the first year of his camp was when he came out of the draft. And then I was able to go, and we were able to kind of cultivate a relationship with not only Matt, but his brother and Mr. Leinart, which was awesome. I mean, they were able to obviously provide unique insight, not only into high school football, being the quarterback in modern day, but also college football, and then kind of that process going on to the NFL. So that relationship with the Leinart family has been awesome. They're great people. So being able to be a part of that was a great experience.
My apologies. I should have had that picture read. Maybe you don't want to see your 8-year-old self with Matt Leinart.
No, I kind of want to see it.
A little birdie sent me that one.
Oh my God.
So Kobe, you're a big Kobe guy. We talked about this before. Watching the MJ documentary last night was interesting for you. But I mean, he was part of, when you did your social media, top 4, he was a part of that. What is kind of he meant for you throughout your athletic career?
Right. I mean, kind of like I said before, I didn't see Jordan play ever. So Kobe, especially growing up as a kid in LA when the Lakers were so good and I really started paying attention closely to sports, Kobe kind of embodies a lot of things that I hope to kind of exemplify in my game. I mean, I think the way that he attacked not only the game and his preparation, but his life as a whole. I mean, I think you saw that in how successful he was when he put the basketball down. I mean, I have Kobe stuff kind of all over my room, and like, I think kind of how he conducted his life and how he played the game, like far transcends any accomplishment he had on the court, whether it was championships or MVPs or All-Star games or whatever it may be. I think his attitude and his kind of mental makeup is really what attracted me to him and really what I try to embody every day in working on my game and just my life in general.
His death obviously had an impact across the country, across the world, but especially here in Southern California. How's it impacted you?
Absolutely. I mean, I was in tears. I'm not gonna lie about that.
No, yeah.
I didn't really believe it. I mean, part of you expects to see Kobe like walk out of a burning helicopter carrying his daughter, and like he kind of ceased to be human. Like he didn't seem like he was able to be killed. I mean, like he seemed kind of immortal to a lot of people that watched him play and watched him do the things that he did. I mean, the dude came in and made 2 free throws on a torn Achilles tendon. So like he was able to do things that people just weren't able to do. So I mean, it was obviously crushing. I mean, so his whole family, I can't even imagine what they're going through. Vanessa, I mean, to lose a daughter and someone like Kobe in that day, I can't even imagine what she's going through. So it was definitely like it was a crushing blow to the whole city, and I think you saw how many people he impacted in the celebration of his life and what ended up happening after he passed.
Yeah, we've been going on almost 40 minutes now. We'll let you go. And it was a couple more questions. So I appreciate your spending all this time. This has been fun. We got another YouTube question from Mark. Any quarterback, pro or college, you would compare your game to?
Well, according to Greg Biggins, it's Drew Brees, but I'm gonna go. I would go with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, I think that his athletic ability is undervalued. I think that he can kind of maneuver he's not going to run a 4.4 or anything like that, but I think he's able to make different throws from different arm angles and definitely able to move around the pocket, and it really, really harps on his accuracy. So I think that's the best, comparison that I can come up with. I think that it's not really my place to sit here and say I'm the next Aaron Rodgers, but I mean, just in terms of seeing translatable traits, I think that's what I would go for.
Yeah, he's a West Coast guy, so that's
definitely
right. Couple more, let you go. Any interests, hobbies outside of football, stuff you like to do?
Definitely. I mean, I draw a lot. Just got done drawing before I hopped on this.
Nice.
Played basketball pretty seriously, really, really seriously. I still play all the time with my teammates and stuff like that at school. Been always kind of into the academic side of my life. Writing, and I love math and all that kind of stuff. Played chess a lot growing up, which I really think translated well into being able to think and play the quarterback position. So I've always been just kind of someone that was interested in a lot of different things. I mean, football is obviously what I really love to do, so I've really focused on that, but I'm definitely interested in a lot of different things.
You got Muhammad Ali over your shoulder. You're a big fight fan.
I do. Yeah, I'm really not a huge boxing fan. There's 2 of them. It's the Ali Frazier fight.
Okay.
Where he knocked him out. And the first one is Ali dodging him, and the second one is Ali standing over him.
Okay.
And he knocks him out, and I think it's more not about being a fan of boxing, but kind of what that symbolizes and everything that Ali symbolized, another athlete that I really, really look up to. So
cool. And then the last one for you. Do you have a time frame for when you want to make a decision right now?
Right. I mean, I think just kind of everything that's happening in the world has definitely pushed it back. I would say I'd love to see LSU before I ended up making a decision, but I'm not going to be sitting here in August having not seen LSU and be uncommitted. So I would say there's a certain point where I'm like, okay, I have to make a decision, but I'm hopeful that I'll be able to get out to Baton Rouge to really make what I would say a more in-depth decision on where I end up going.
So it kind of depends on when things open back up again.
Right. I would say I'm hopeful for the next couple months.
Yeah, I think we all are. Well, Miller Moss, 4-star quarterback, Bishop Alemany, top 4 of Alabama, LSU, USC, and UCLA. This is the first time we've done this. You were awesome, so I really appreciate you coming on. You set the bar high for any prospects that come on after this. So,
thank you. No, I appreciate you having me.
Thanks. That's Miller Moss. Make sure you check him out. Follow him on Twitter at MillerMoss7. Don't tweet him weird stuff about their school and stuff. Just don't be the weird recruit guy, Do you get a bunch of those? Do you get a lot of
I do. The fan arguments in my Twitter thread are pretty interesting sometimes, but
it's funny because you see prospects they'll get, especially when it gets closer, you get like this increase in Twitter followers, and then
definitely
when you pick someone, then you might lose some.
Then because you lose all the fan followers from
the other schools.
Right.
It's whatever, but yeah. So just don't be weird on his Twitter mentions. He's a regular person, just like everybody. But thanks again, Miller, for coming on. Take care.
Definitely, no.